Hello there everybody, how's it going and how have you been? I am EuclideanSqd, and we're back here in Duel Links right at the start of a new-ish event. I say newish because, well, it's new in the sense that it just started today. It's not completely new because they have run this event in the past. The event in question is called Unleash the Egyptian God card, Yami Marik Returns. Now this is one of the bigger events that they run in Duel Links. In today's episode, I'm just going to be kind of going over the basics of both this type of event and how the event itself kind of works. And then in the next episode, I'm going to be showing off some options for farming the event to get the most out of it that you can before it goes and expires on April 25th. But basically, I refer to this kind of event affectionately as token events, in the sense that you need to duel the other duelists in this game, both the standard duelists, the legendary duelists, the vagabond. I think even PvP duels count. And the more you duel them, the more quote-unquote tokens you rack up. And you can then spend said tokens to duel the event duelist, in this case, Yami Marik. Now, I call it tokens because each of these event duelists like this they call it something different, but they all pretty much work the same. Like with Pegasus, they were called star chips, but they still work exactly the same as Yami Marik's map fragments. There's really no difference to it. Now, in the event itself, the sort of standard mode of play is collect tokens, duel the event duelist, try to get as many points as you can. And the reason you want to get as many points as you can, specifically in the duel assessment that you get after the duel completes, is because all of those points go towards a running total. And as your total hits certain milestones, you win certain prizes. So as you can see down here, as soon as you win 3,000 points in this event, you get 10 gems. At 6,000 points, you get 5 rare jewels. 10,000 gets you 3,000 gold, 15,000 gets you 5 more rare jewels, and so on. Now, the early level event rewards are not that great. I mean, they're still pretty good, don't get me wrong, but as you rack up more and more points, you'll start to see that they do start to increase. Like at 70,000, I'm actually going to ignore this one, I'll get into that in a moment, but at 80,000 you're guaranteed to get a copy of one of the event cards. At 110,000 you get 20 gems, 20 gems, 10 rare jewels. Ignore that again, I'll get into that in just a moment. But you can see as your event point total goes up, the prizes steadily get better and better until you start getting like super rare jewels and copies of rarer cards and so on. Now, if you're new, if this is the first time you're going through the event yourself, some of your event rewards are going to look a little bit different to what mine are. Specifically, I think the first one is probably going to be this one here, 180,000 points. The reason for that is because if this is your first time going through the event, one of the rewards is actually unlocking Yami Marik for you to use as your player avatar in the game. However, because I've already got Yami Marik unlocked, there's really no point in me unlocking him again. Like, you can't even really do that. So what Konami does is that if the event is a repeat and somebody already has one of the one-time rewards, such as unlocking Marik, the reward itself is replaced with an ultra rare jewel. Now, I'm not sure if every single one of the ultra rare jewels on this list is a replacement, but I know that there's also prizes, like at a certain point, I think at 950,000 you get a special game mat, and then a little bit later you'll probably get like the card sleeves, and the final reward is always going to be a special icon that you can put on your profile. So your reward list, if you're brand new to the game or if this is just the first time you've ever played in this event, is going to look a teeny bit different, but that's only because I've already gotten all the one-time rewards out of this event that I can. Now, when it comes to the token events, each one does play out just a little bit differently than each of the others. So I believe for Pegasus, he's the most bog standard. You would collect the star chips and then you go to the duel gate, which as you can see is now glowing red. You just go over to the duel gate, cash in some star chips to pick your difficulty level, and then challenge him to a duel. Yami Marik works a little bit differently. He actually won't show up at this gate until you do something else in game. So in particular, for him, if I reload this, see this 20 here? Yami Marik won't appear at the gate until you beat a certain number of his goons first. In fact, I think you might actually have to beat him at like his level 30 difficulty before he'll start to show up at the gate. But they won't show up until you've collected a certain number of map fragments. Now, I've already got 192 just because I did a little bit of play earlier today trying to level Jesse up some more. But another thing to keep in mind is that with the addition of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Marik wasn't in GX, so he will not naturally appear in the GX world. So if you actually want to start off into the event, you have to go back to the standard world first, make sure you're in here, and here's his little goon Rare Hunter. Now the Rare Hunter himself isn't all that difficult really. This is the earliest proper duel, I guess you could say. And the game's always going to set him at level 10, and at level 10 the AI just does not play well at all. Like, at all. I'm just going to hit auto duel. It's probably going to rush through it, but you'll probably notice that it does stupid things like play a monster with less than half of the attack power of your own in attack mode. It never puts stuff in defense mode. It will blindly attack your face down defense position monsters, so I'm fully expecting this duel to go by pretty quickly. Oh, well, it puts Skull and Gold in face-down defense mode because it's a flip effect, but... Well, no, I stand corrected. It's actually being relatively smart for a level 10 duelist. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. Most of the time, level 10 duelists are just, like, barely even a challenge. But yeah, that's basically how you really get started in the event. You beat a couple of the standard duelists in the game, you get 20 map fragments, this guy shows up, you kick his ass, and then you get to go on to, let's say, step 2. So there's a little bit of flavor text here. You can go ahead and pause the video to read it if you want. I'm just going to kind of keep skipping through just to get things moving along. No, it is actually pretty nice because for most of these token events, and in fact from pretty much many of the events, they do have plenty of nods and references back to the originating anime. But this is the next thing I really wanted to get to. So for those of you that were gawking at the idea of how can you possibly rack up like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of points to win those last prizes, this is how. First off, like I mentioned, the game does keep a running total of all your duel assessment scores. But you'll see this little multiplier right here. Beating a level 10 difficulty event duelist in this game only gives you a ×1 multiplier, but this multiplier will rapidly grow as you duel the higher levels. So I think at like when you duel the next step up, which is the level 20, I believe, I'm pretty sure the multiplier will jump to ×3 or ×5. At level 30, it'll jump again to be like ×7, I think. And then when you duel a level 40, it's something crazy. It's like ×13 or something. It's a big multiplier when you start doing the higher difficulties. And that's kind of where you'll really want to focus your farming, and that's what's going to be the focus of the next video, is how to get the most points you can out of dueling the high level. So you can rack up your total score as fast as you can, and basically speed through the event and grab as many of the rewards as you can before it ends. So, enough yammering. I've already got enough map fragments to make the next guy appear, Arcana, which was 40 map fragments. And in fact, I'll just go ahead and show you guys really quickly. Getting map fragments is super easy. You never get some map fragments back from dueling the event duelist in question. So you will have to continually reduel the standard duelists and the legendaries and pretty much everybody who's not the event duelist to keep getting the tokens you need to play in the game. Hopefully this duel doesn't take too long, although it looks like it might. That's actually kind of a clever move, because now I get Treeborn Frog, and my opponent can't just continually resummon it. Although he's now going to just attack it with Screech, and then summon it back to his field. Okay. Alright. Taking a little bit longer, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. There are occasions where the event duelist in question will spawn naturally in Duel World, just like a regular legendary duelist, except he doesn't take up the legendary duelist slot. So you could see, say, Kaiba and Marik out in play at the same time. Here we go. Yeah. So see, just by beating her, I already got 8 map fragments. Now, the map fragment costs for higher difficulties do start to get pretty high. I don't remember quite what they are for like level 30 and level 40. But basically, just auto-duel the NPCs, get as many map fragments as you can, and if you happen to be 1 or 2 short, I believe you can get a few from PvP duels. They don't if they do, I don't expect them to give you as many as that one NPC just did, simply because you can just PvP duel for like 4 hours straight and pretty much be dueling for 90% of that time. So obviously they don't want you to just get, you know, thousands and thousands of map fragments and then just, you know, cruise through the whole event like it's nothing. But anyway, so in this case, Arcana is the level 20 iteration of the event duelist. I'm just going to auto-duel him again. The level 20s aren't that difficult either. So when it comes to just getting to, or getting the higher difficulty of the event duelist unlocked, you can pretty much use any deck you want, especially against the level 10 and the level 20 duelists. Their decks are not very difficult at all. As you can see, this very cheap to make alien deck just completely owned them in 5 turns, I think. 5 turns? 4 turns. The level 30 will generally put up a fight, so you may want to brace yourself. You may lose once or twice against the level 30, depending on how well the cards come out and how relatively powerful your deck is compared to the AI. But the level 40 is generally going to be very difficult, and if you want to maximize your point total, you will pretty much need to build a deck specifically for beating it. But again, that will all be covered in the next episode. This is more just demonstrating how to progress through the early stages of the event to get the level 40 unlocked so you can begin point farming. Yep, as you can see, by beating the level 20, my 4,200 points were multiplied by 3, so I got 12,600 fresh points. I'm already up past 15,000, so I've already gotten the first 2 rewards from the event. And yeah, looks like I've got enough for, once you collect, load 60 map fragments, the level 30 duelist will show up, which is actually Marik himself this time. And the kind of cool thing about this is that these early duelists, when they're out in the world, they don't cost any of the tokens to actually duel. So this kind of lets you get a head start on your point total. Now, it's not that important to me, not to sound like uppity or anything, but I do have a very large card catalog. I've got plenty of duelists to select through and all kinds of skills to use, so I can probably make a fairly good farming deck to counter him. So I'm not too concerned with trying to maximize my points in the early game, and really you shouldn't be either, because the tokens are super easy to come by. And especially if you combo it with other tricks, like if you're just about to stage up in either the standard world or the GX world, just do what I mentioned about getting the most out of your experience possibility for your avatar duelist. You know, beat all the NPCs, beat the legendary duelist, beat the vagabond. You know, basically just clear Duel World out of all the AI duelists in it. Stage up to make everybody respawn, and then do it again. You can get a ton of map fragments that way. Pardon me. I need to shift a little bit. Sorry if you heard it rustling just then. So we beat the level 30, no problem. The event duelist will have a skill active, unlike many other legendary duelists, which I don't think ever have a skill active. In the case of Marik, his is called Shadow Game, which basically means that at the... I wasn't actually paying attention there. I'm pretty sure it's at the end phase of your turn, you take 100 points of damage for each card in your graveyard. So ideally you don't want to have that many cards in your graveyard. But the good news is the Shadow Game does burn back against him. So if, you know, if your card selection is limited, but you can build a kind of decent mill deck, go for that. You might just be able to stall him out and have his own effect, you know, take him down. And that only gave me a ×3 as well. Was he not level 30? I wasn't paying attention, actually. I could have sworn it was level 30. We'll see in just a moment. So I believe now he's going to spawn at the gate, I think, once we get through all this. Oh yes, and that's the other big draw to this event. Don't know how I could have forgotten it, because it's literally right in the title of the event itself. After a certain point, the level 50 difficulty of Yami Marik will be unlocked. And if you manage to beat, he will respawn until you actually win the duel. So if you lose, don't worry about it. But if you beat the level 50 Yami Marik, you will get a copy of the Winged Dragon of Ra. Now you only get one in the entire game, I believe. But, let's see here. Is he actually going to be level 50? Oh no, he's level 30 again. Okay. I need to actually pay attention to the screen instead of just constantly yammering. Now, actually no, I believe you only get the one copy of the Winged Dragon of Ra, because I vaguely remember seeing in the event notes, in the notification, that players who already have Ra will instead get an ultra rare jewel when they should get Ra as a reward. Which, I mean, fair enough. And speak of the devil, there's Ra. And he didn't give it any attack points, so it just died to Alien Warrior. So yeah, that is the one thing, is that the Winged Dragon of Ra and the other god cards as well, I believe, will use more balanced effects than they do in the show. So, in fact, I think Ra is actually not that fantastic of a card. But still, kind of cool to have it anyway. So he's just hearing. Okay, yeah, he must have been level 20, because yeah, level 30 you get a ×7 multiplier. So look at that. All these example duels, I'm already at 50,000 points, and he still isn't showing up at the gate. During the event, oh, this is new actually. So apparently a special rare hunter will appear once a day, and if you beat him, you get a bunch of bonus event points. It's actually pretty sweet. So let me see here. Okay, so here's where it is. So this is on me. I thought that once you beat all of the times that he shows up in Duel World just as kind of freebies, will prompt Marik into showing up at the gate. I don't think he actually will until you score 200,000 points. But let's actually just go ahead and go to the gate really quick and see. Are you here? Never mind. Ignore that. He actually is here. Now you will have to start over at level 10, so you will have to spend a few tokens to get him back up to the higher difficulties. But basically once you get through that big tirade and you beat his level 30 form out here in Duel World, then he'll start showing up at the gate and he's much more stable to farm. However, his cronies, the Rare Hunter guy, who does not seem to be that tough at all, as well as Arcana, they will continue to respawn in Duel World, I think about once or twice per day. And again, they don't cost any tokens to beat, they are at a lower difficulty, but their duel assessment scores will still factor into your overall total. So definitely make sure you check the game. So, let me back up a bit. So if you're a bit strapped on your schedule for one particular day, at least try to check the game a little bit more frequently and auto-duel these two whenever they show up, because that will help your point total out as well. So I already got, so 3,900 times, oh, that would be the special one, because he gives you a times 15 multiplier. So that's actually really good, because he's not that strong. He gives you a big multiplier, so look at that. I already got a 60,000 point boost. Let's go ahead and knock out Arcana really quick. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of the event. That's how you get map tokens. That's how you actually get Marik to start showing up at the gate so that you can more easily farm him once you have a deck set up to do so. It's kind of an overview of all the rewards. I do apologize for not being able to remember exactly where specific rewards are. I am 99% sure that that first UR jewel you saw on my reward list, the one at like 180,000 points, that would be where you unlock Yami Marik for your own use. It's either that or 200,000, one of the two, but it's actually fairly early on that you can get him. All the later UR jewels are the kind of just aesthetical bragging rights stuff, the game mat, the card sleeves, the icon, and so on. So, kind of actually gave me about 13,000. Just going to go ahead and start knocking out level 10s. Oh, and that actually is something else. I'm actually really glad that I did this. When you duel the event duelist at the gate, and in fact when you duel any legendary duelist at the gate, the game does not let you auto-duel him. You have to duel them manually. So, if you're a bit strapped on time on one particular day, you may just have to skip out on dueling him at the gate until you have more time to do so, because these duels, because you have to duel him manually, they can kind of drag out a little bit. But that doesn't mean you still can't keep auto-dueling the NPCs and gathering up map tokens. Because, or map fragments, as I should use the proper name. Because your map fragments will persist from day to day. In fact, you could stockpile map fragments through the entire event and then try to burn through them in the last 2 days if you want to. They're all still valid and they will never go away until the event itself ends. So, there's not that big of a rush. I mean, I'm just gonna check something really quick on my phone here. Okay, so he is only around for about 5 days, which isn't all that long, but that's still plenty of time to, at the very least, unlock him. And if you're just starting out in the game as this event is going on, and you're worried that you may not be able to get everything, well, odds are you probably aren't going to get every single last reward. You're probably not going to be able to make it all the way up to 3 million. But that's absolutely okay, because... Sorry, I just got a little bit surprised they actually did kill himself with his own duelist ability. But anyway. But it's absolutely okay for you to not get every single reward. As you might have been able to infer by the fact that I've already got Marik unlocked, I've already got a copy of the Winged Dragon of Ra. They will launch this event again in the future. he will be available again probably in 3 to 4 months, admittedly, but the point is that you will have another shot later on. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of leave him alone for right now, just because I want to kind of wrap this episode up, because I've more or less touched on all the basics for the event. Pardon me. Got a little something stuck in my throat. I just want to show off really quick that if it'll load. Yeah, so see, I've already got the Winged Dragon of Ra, and this is the only copy I'm ever going to get. And in fact, it's such an important card that the game itself won't even let you convert it into other stuff. So once you've got the copy, you never have to worry about losing it. I'm just kind of curious. So, yeah, look at that. We've already gotten the first. Good Lord, look at all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We've already gotten the first 17 rewards in just the last 25 minutes. And I've only just spent map tokens. So it's probably like the home stretch of getting Marik himself unlocked, which should really be your main goal, isn't all that difficult to accomplish. Because once you get Marik unlocked, that's another character for you to level up, that's another source of cards, another source of gems, another source of skill, and another way for you to play and enjoy the game. So I would argue that the biggest reward, which again is Marik himself, not that difficult to get. Everything afterwards is basically just bonus loot, as far as I've ever been concerned when it comes to this sort of event. Now I did want to check, because here we go. Yeah, so because I've already got the Winged Dragon of Ra, I will get an ultra rare jewel instead whenever it would be whenever I would otherwise have gotten it as a reward. And yeah, here we go. So Yami Marik level 50 will not start to show up until 11 p.m. for me on April 22nd. So basically it'll only be available for like the last 2 or 3 days of the event. And all you have to do is beat him once. It took me a bunch of tries the last time that this event came around. But again, he will keep respawning. He respawns very frequently, in fact, so if you're concerned that you've only got one shot to get the Egyptian God card before it goes away and you have to wait for the event again, don't worry about it. Right now you just have to wait until the level 50 difficulty unlocks. After that, you can throw yourself at it as many times as it takes for you to get the Ra card. There's also a new skill for Marik, which I don't exactly know how you get, but they have mentioned here Sleep Power Distributed, which is the skill, will be made available through other methods in the future. So never feel like you have to rush with this sort of an event. Definitely try your hardest, definitely try to get as many points as you can, but, and again, I really want to reiterate this, I know I've said a lot, but it's important, don't feel bad if you can't get every last reward. Most of them are aesthetics things anyway. Most of them you can get elsewhere. And if you can just get to 180,000 points to just get Marik himself, he's the biggest reward in the event. He really is. Plus, when you get him, you will get a couple of copies of some of the event cards just by leveling him up. And in fact, you get one of the ultra rare cards, this Lava Golem, as soon as you unlock Marik, because that's the ace card in his starter deck. So don't feel like you have to rush if you just picked this game up like 2 or 3 days ago. Just do what you can. In the next episode, like I've mentioned a few times, I will be showing how to farm the level 40 Marik for as many points as possible. I will be trying to show both a very highly tuned sort of veteran player deck, I will say, i.e. something that would be very easy for somebody who's played the game for a while to make and have all the necessary cards for. And then I'll be trying to show off a deck that's a little bit easier for new players to put together and use. But I think that's about all the basics. I just want to check and see really quick. So I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something. 72,000. What happens at 200,000? 200,000. 200,000 points. I think the introduction to this event is well and truly done. I've basically repeated myself 2 or 3 times by now. But I think I'm going to sort of pause the recording here, and I will come back when I'm at 200,000, just because I want to make sure that I'm not going to miss something important with this. So I want to just go through here. I'll probably get there by the time I unlock level 40 here at the gate. And I will see you guys shortly. Okay. We are back, and I just beat a level 40 Marik fairly easily, though considering he didn't really do anything on his first turn, I assume the AI probably got a fairly bad starting hand. So, oh, really quick before the game. Oh, nice. But yeah, that card pack that was right there, I call them rainbow packs just because they're all shiny and multicolored and stuff. Those are the sort of those are the only card packs that will ever give you super rare and ultra rare loot drops. I'll go over this a little bit more in detail in another video much later down the line. But basically, whenever you see those, you know you're going to get one of the rarer possible cards from whatever duelist you're dueling, whether it's the event duelist or just one of the other legendary duelists. And something that has been completely spacing my mind, even though it's been happening all throughout the episode, alongside the Yami Marik event, they've also released a bonus duel reward event, which basically means that win or lose, you get a campaign bonus of just 1,000 free points on top of your normal duel assessment score, which is only going to make your duel assessment score go up. It guarantees you a bonus reward no matter what, and especially at the higher difficulty levels for dueling Marik, that's tons and tons more points to go towards your event total. And one thing that I actually, thinking back, I kind of forgot to mention, and I just want to clarify so that everybody knows, it does not matter if you win against Marik or if you lose against Marik. Your points are still multiplied and they're still added onto the event total. And that's exactly what I love about this game, is that it does not punish you for losing. You don't get quite as many points, so you don't advance through the reward list as fast as you would if you won, but you still make progress, and given enough time, you can still get all the rewards even if you lose to him every single time, especially with this bonus campaign going on. Because as you will see relatively soon, I'm going to get an absolute crazy amount of points. Look at that, times 18 for the level 40. Let me put it simply, if you lose to him and get absolutely no other point bonuses, no other point scores, that's still 2,000 points. That's still 36,000 points to go into your total. Now, granted, if you want to get all the way to the end, that does mean that you'd have to lose to the level 40 about 1,000 times, but taking a step closer in from the big picture, 36,000 points is still nothing to sneeze at. As you saw, that was enough to shoot me past, like, several scores, several rewards. I don't know exactly how many, I wasn't actually paying attention, but anyway, the point is I beat the 200,000 score and he just respawned. Oh, okay, so apparently at 200,000 what happens is you just get a free duel against the level 40, and I presume you probably have to beat this level 40 before you can duel the level 50 whenever it's released. Now, don't quote me on that, I'm not entirely sure, and I don't exactly want to just leave him hanging around in Duel World up until the 25th, or not the 25th, the 22nd, when level 50 shows up. Just because when Marik's out and about in Duel World, he's not going to be present in the gate for you to duel against regularly. But of course, there's the upside then of I don't have to spend map fragments to duel him out here when he's out in the world. So let's just see how this duel ends. And then I just want to show off one more quick thing, and then I promise we will end the episode there. I feel like that's more than enough of an overview for this event. I mean, heck, you want a cheap farming deck? Go for the aliens. They're not fantastic. They're not going to advance you as fast as some other decks probably will. But look at this. 3,500 times 18. That's what? That's going to be another like 50,000 points. 63,000 points. Look at that! I just got 7 rewards for that. It is really not that difficult to advance, at least to the point where you can get Marik. And I'm not going to say anything more about that because I know it's going to be like the 5th time that I've talked about it. I just want to show off really quick what it's like. So if you want to duel him at level 10, it'll cost you 5 map fragments and you don't get any multiplier on your points. At level 20, it'll cost you 10 map fragments and you get a times 3 multiplier. At level 30, it'll cost you 20 fragments and you get a times 7 multiplier. And then finally, at level 40, it'll cost you 40 map fragments, but you get the times 18 multiplier. And one other thing that I've seen this based on is that you can actually duel the Rare Hunter and Arcana in the event mode of the gate as well. So lots and lots of cards up for grabs if you can get the map fragments for it. So this is probably going to be a little bit overwhelming in terms of all the possible rewards you can get as a new player. So I don't actually know what the Rare Hunter can give you at higher difficulty levels. I don't even know if you can get to higher difficulty levels with this guy. I know you can with Arcana because he did have his own sort of smaller event before the first time they ran the Yami Marik event. But like I've said quite a few times now, that's a good enough overview of the Yami Marik event that's running right now. Yeah, go ahead, have a few duels against him, experiment, start winning some points, and in the next episode I will be showing how to definitely farm against Marik, maybe against the other two depending on what their rewards would be. I don't think the Rare Hunter is going to give you anything valuable, but Arcana actually has quite a few good cards. Maybe I'll be able to squeeze him in at the end. I don't entirely know. He may have to get left by the wayside depending on how my schedule rolls out over the next few days compared to how I'm able to progress in the game. But that's all besides the point. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all had a great day. I will see you all in the next episode, and farewell for now.